Well known for its biodiversity, Costa Rica is also one of the oldest and most stable democracies in Latin America. The country has held free elections every 4 years since 1949. And I'm here today in San Jose with Carlos Alvarado, the man who is now called to lead Costa Rica for the next 4 years after winning the latest round of presidential elections just a few weeks ago. Mr. President, the country, Costa Rica, has experienced tremendous achievements in the economic and social sphere in the past 30 years, opening up to trade, tourism and investment, and achieving an upper middle income status if we look at GDP per capita figures. Yet, this last round of elections also told us that there are economic issues like unemployment and also corruption that still top the concern list of the population. You have been a labor minister under the last government of President Luis Guillermo Solís. You know well labor issues in the country. So how are you going to tackle unemployment and labor issues in your presidency?
Well, thank you. Yes, unemployment is a concern for us. It has a lot to do with inequality. We have an unemployment of about 9%, but when you look at it, it's really concentrated on people with low scholar. I mean, they almost have just like a grade school, 9 years of scholarity. That means it's lot focused. It has a lot to do with education. Also, that kind of unemployment is concentrated on the periphery of the country. So it has a lot to do with inequality. To tackle that, we need to work a lot on education, a lot on leveling the ground, producing jobs around all the country, not only in the center in San Jose and in the parts around it. And that's a great challenge for us. Also, taking into account, we need to be prepared for the fourth industrial revolution. That means we need to have people to be educated to confront things like, I don't know, 3D printing or large data sets, all that's related with technology. So to change that, we need to work on those parts of the equation.
This is a very interesting point. There is a report by the World Bank a couple of years ago that basically says that Costa Rica, half of the jobs in Costa Rica are at risk of automation. Costa Rica is not the only country that is facing such challenges. So what's your approach in terms of stimulating production growth, but at the same time keep creating jobs?
Well, you have to put in context that Costa Rica is relatively a small country. We're less than 5 million people, but we are really integrated in the market and the global economy. So if we elevate the education of all the population, we have a big chance to provide services for investment, for tourism, to be a bilingual country, to leverage that to make unemployment reduce. Our scale, or more scale, being connected with large economies like the United States, like the rest of the Americas, with China, with India, with Europe, we have lots of opportunities to do that. But then we need to improve our education and also work a lot on bureaucracy. We have a lot of red tape that's it's like inhibiting our growth to be faster. We have to work a lot on infrastructure and other topics, but that's the commitment of the new government to accelerate those innovations so we can recover our leadership in the region.
So education and skills here is the word, the key issue. You mentioned foreign investment. Costa Rica has been a major recipient of foreign investment in the past decades. 5.6% of GDP for investment equal the 5.6% of GDP between 2000 and 2015, which is one of the highest rate, again, in the whole of Latin America. And also the nature of foreign investment over the years changed. It became more sophisticated. For example, lately there has been the development of the cluster of, for example, life sciences. Right. So moving forward, what is the role that you envision for investors during your presidency?
Foreign investment is key for Costa Rica, and we are really proficient with it. We provide human resource. That's people with talents that can work in those sectors, but also stability, democracy. It's a guarantee for those investments. The rule of law, but sometimes we have lots of rules that make it a bit more complicated. But the rule of law is important in Costa Rica, and that provides an environment for foreign investment. Currently, we are working on improving, as I mentioned, the skills to have more people that can be linked to this sector. Also, we need to work in infrastructure, as I mentioned, to make it easier for investment, and also to make it attractive for investment to be all around the country, not only concentrated in one region. And we have to work as well in providing, in fixing some of the macroeconomics, specifically on the fiscal part of the equation, and we are working on it, because if Costa Rica fixes that, our fundamentals will be really strengthened by that, and we are committed to that agenda. And one key link as well is how we can link not only the foreign investment but with local entrepreneurs, that they can provide services or goods to the foreign investment, so we can have more growth and more competitivity for that investment. And we are committed to that agenda. Actually, in Costa Rica, since the Procomer, our foreign investors agencies have been rated #1 across the world. So we are going to keep moving forward, not losing our leadership in this area as well, because for us it's key for us to become. My goal is to be leaders in the region, in education, in human development, in economics, and also this is the way, one of the ways we want to achieve that.
There have been a few major infrastructure projects in the works for a few years now. I start from a very last one, a very recent development. In Panama, the Panama government is considering a train, a China-sponsored train, up to the border with Costa Rica. So I wanted to ask you, are you considering a possibility to continue that railway also into Costa Rica and through Costa Rica?
Yes, that's a good possibility of connection with a great partner like Panama. Our priority currently is a train that will connect the 4 major cities in Costa Rica, from Alajuela, Heredia, San Jose, and Cartago. Actually, those cities have the largest demand on transportation, and that will help us with topics like climate change, reduce emissions. We're committing with all the policies related to clean energy and all the agreements of Paris, and that's our priority in terms of a train. Also, a train from San Jose to Limón is to reactivate that train, but that train is for cargo, for all the exports. So those are our priorities, both by we're looking at the schemes of concession, so being public and private partnerships to make this happen, and also that provides lots of opportunities for foreign investment and foreign companies that want to come and be allies with us to make those projects happen.
A project that has been in the works for many years is the Dry Canal project. Are you backing this project? Do you want to develop to give this project a chance?
It's a large project. What we have committed is to make all the studies surrounding this, including the environmental studies and the social impact studies, because it's a really important project, but we need to know what's the impact, for instance, in our national parks, which are also one of the centerpieces of our competitiveness, because all our country label around the world as being an environmental friendly green country. But in another way, we already have a dry canal. We have all the possibilities to develop trains in existing lines from the Caribbean to the Pacific. But those were the former and ancient lines that provide the exports of, for example, bananas and coffee, that were the base of our economy decades ago. But those lines are still owned by the government and the state, but we're not using them currently. We can reactivate that, and rapidly, through train lines, have a dry canal.
Carlos Alvarado, President-elected of Costa Rica, thanks for being with us. Thanks everybody for watching. You can follow all the coverage of Costa Rica, Central America, Latin America on our website, fdiintelligence.com. Stay tuned. Thank you.